For Grace, life was good. She had a successful career, a beautiful daughter, and a loving husband. Until one day...
God, help me. Eddie! Eddie! I can see you! Hi, Daddy! At this time, I open the floor to any new business.
Yes, I would just like to know if anybody else here has slept with my husband.
Grace, if there's anyone who for any reason has had any kind of sex with my damn husband, I think I have a right to know.
Grace, just make me okay.
I mean, what in the name of God's gotten into you?
Daddy.
You try to humiliate your whole family?
The world is he thinking about? Probably the same thing he was thinking with.
Warner Brothers presents an extraordinary motion picture about a woman confronted with a fact she can't accept.
You don't know what it's like to be sitting there with your child while your husband is making out with someone on the street.
Sometimes a man doesn't know the value of what he's got until he's lost it. You follow what I'm getting at?
A truth she can't escape.
Remember how we used to make each other laugh? You ever wonder if we can ever get back to that?
And a chance she can't resist.
Let's feel this right now.
No, Eddie, this isn't funny.
Julia Roberts, Robert Duvall, Jenna Rollins, Kira Sedgwick, and Dennis Quaid. Something to talk about.
You know, there's so much talent involved with this movie, not just on screen, but also behind the scenes. And you have Lassie Houser, who had just done What's Eating Gilbert Grape. You have Callie Curry, whose first movie she ever wrote and directed, Thelma and Louise, turned out to be a big hit 4 years prior to this. And actually, I found it very interesting that this is only the second of 3 films she's ever written. Like, she did Thelma and Louise, this movie, and then she wrote Respect with the Aretha Franklin movie. But she also only directed 3 films, Divine Secrets of the Aliyah Sisterhood, Mad Money, and Patsy and Loretta, all of those movies she didn't write, so found that very interesting, even though she's been a prolific writer for so many years. Like, you've seen her name before on various projects, but only 6 movies to her name, honestly. But going back to this movie, you have so much talent there behind the scenes, on screen. Julia Roberts, Dennis Quaid, Robert Duvall, Kira Sedgwick, Jenna Rollins. Just a really good cast overall, but at the same time, though, this movie just can't get away from the fact that it's basically a lackluster TV movie of the week. Like, this is something that looks like it would be seen on Lifetime or the Hallmark Channel. Just a movie that just feels very generic, and everybody acts like typical old-fashioned idiots in those movies. Like, they just see something like this, and they just say, oh, just let it slide. Like, the whole thing in this movie is that Julia Roberts' husband cheats on her, and everybody in this town is just like, you know what, just let it go. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen to you? Well, you got a kid with him, too, so that's something that you have to deal with here. And, like, it'd be something if the story was actually very interesting, or these characters were interesting, but these characters are not interesting whatsoever. I mean, Julia Roberts doesn't usually pick a lot of bad movies, but when she picks bad films, she picks some really, really bad movies. And this is one that's just like, it just feels like a movie that, it's like those movies that I really hate, those romantic comedies that don't really rely on too much comedy. The comedy isn't really like, my whole, I've talked about my whole thing about comedies, that misery is the main concept of what makes comedy so special and so funny. And this is one of those movies that just feels like that they don't buy into that whatsoever. The comedy is that, hey, let's just talk. Let's just say, and let's not say anything that's even remotely funny, except for the older 40-year-old women who are going to be watching this movie repeatedly when it appears on Lifetime in about 2 years. And it's just like, there's no real fun to this movie whatsoever. It's a boring, boring movie. There's nothing interesting about these characters whatsoever. There's no funny comedy in it. There's nothing really all that interesting or exciting going on. It's just a bland movie with so much talent involved in here. I mean, Goldie Hawn's a producer on this movie. Like, you would think there'd be so much more with this, but it's just a generic movie. It's nothing interesting whatsoever. It's one of those movies that Julia Roberts picks where she is kind of obligated to star in it because she's a big star and people will go see it, but she knows this movie's probably not that great. Like I said before, she doesn't usually pick bad movies, but when she picks bad movies, she picks really, really bad movies. Eat, Pray, Love is the best example of that, so. Not much more to say about this one, but something to talk about is nothing that you want to talk about after it's done. Why don't we go to a much better movie that came out this weekend, probably the best movie that came out this weekend, period, and that is, of course, Babe.
When I first came to the boss's farm, it was a whole new world to me. Everyone here seemed to know their place. The boss and his wife, the sheepdogs, the sheep, and all the other animals. Well, almost.
We've got to do something about that duck.
Now I just have to figure out where I fit in. I want my mom.
Good heavens. Who are you?
Babe.
There. The little pig's a bit low. He's going to sleep with us.
But Mom, he'll wet the bed. What are you?
You.
Pig. What are you?
I'm a you. A you.
This is the story of a brave soul
Hello, sir. Get out of here. What?
who is trying to find his destiny.
Can I learn how to work the sheep today?
Get him up, Pig.
Remember, you have to dominate them. Bend them to your will.
He knew his path would not be easy.
I'm not sure if you realize how much the other animals are laughing at you.
It's not a duck that thinks it's a rooster, it's a pig that thinks it's a dog.
One should accept what he is and be thankful for it. But now he's determined
They're sheep. They're inferior.
Oh, no, they're not.
to take care of business
All a nice little pig like you need do is ask.
his way.
Thanks very much. It was very kind of you. A pleasure. What a nice little pig.
From Universal Pictures comes the story of Babe,
You look like an intelligent, sophisticated, discerning young fella. Who, me?
the pig with the gift of gab,
La, la, la.
nerves of steel,
Get out of here, you big buttheads.
and a heart
May I call you Mom?
of gold. Babe,
I mean, let's really talk about why this movie succeeded more than the previous Pig film that we got this year, Gordy did. Right off the bat, you really like these characters a lot. They do a really good job of using the animatronics from Jim Henson's Creature Shop, and the talking animal effects are done by Rhythm and Hughes, who have done a ton of visual effects work over the years. And the way these animals' mouths move, the way they move with the story, just works a whole lot better in Gordy. In this movie, you don't hate everybody in this movie like you did with Gordy. I mean, Gordy just was a mess of a film on so many levels, but this is a simple film. It's a simple film with a simple concept. A talking pig wants to be a sheepdog so it could stay alive. I mean, pretty much this pig is fighting for his life as every day as if he doesn't do something important to with this farm, he's basically one step closer to being on the menu for a holiday dinner or something like that. But it's also just like I said, it's a simple movie. It's a really simple storyline to work with, but one that has a lot of heart and enjoyment to it. Like, you really do like these characters a lot, and they're voiced very well by all these notable actors and actresses of different forms. You'll notice some of the names in here. Like, you've definitely heard their name. You may not have heard their names, but you've definitely heard their voices before. Like, the big name is, of course, Christine Cavanaugh, who does the voice of Babe, and, of course, she's known as the voice of Chucky from most of the early years of the Rugrats, and also the early years of Dexter's Laboratory. She's also been on The Critic. She's been on a lot of shows in the past. And you also have Hugo Weaving from The Matrix, Miriam Flynn from Christmas Vacation, Lucy Taylor's a prolific voice actress. You've heard these voices before, and they're here in this movie, and the human actors are great too. I mean, James Cromwell is fantastic as the farmer in this, as well as Magda Subansky, I think I'm pronouncing the name right, as his wife. And there is just so much there to really appreciate about this movie. There's just so much of a charm to it. The music is very well done. There's nice direction by Chris Noonan. It has this nice, gorgeous visual look to it. It's very funny. It's a nice, warm-hearted film. It really does a lot there that just really just sticks with you after so many years. Like, the visuals in this movie just still stand out after all these years. It's an amazing, amazing movie, and I can't recommend it enough. I know, and you know, it made for a really good movie, which actually led to a sequel that surprisingly is a lot better than many people would expect it to be. And then you also realize that this is also produced by George Miller, best known for the Mad Max movies, but it feels a lot like the same thing that happened a couple years, is almost a decade after that, when he made Happy Feet and also Happy Feet 2, which are really good movies, especially the first one. Second one, not so much, but it does have one of my favorite movie scenes in it. And, I mean, it's kind of that same aspect here. Like, you definitely get a sense there. I would even say it's kind of similar to the Paddington movies, kind of. Paddington was one of those big surprises that really came out of nowhere, and they made a sequel that's actually a lot better than the original film, even though the original film is a great film. You could definitely say the same thing with this movie in particular. Babe just really is a great classic film. It's a movie that just holds up after so many years. And it's just an amazing, amazing film. It's just an amazing film that still holds up after all these years. And a fun fact here, the song in the movie, If I Had Words, like, it's notably sung by the Mice in this movie, but if you listen to that song really closely, and then you go back to where the original song came from, which I have the... I had it here for a second. Here it is. The names of the people that sing it, Scott Fitzgerald and Yvonne Keeley. If you go back and look at that music video, and then you listen to the song at the end of the credits for Babe, you'll notice that the original song is actually just slowed down. But when you listen to the one in the film, it's just a faster version of that song, and I'm going to show you that right now. Now, I knew this because I actually changed the pitch on it from the normal pitch on YouTube to 1.5. I think it was 1.5, but if you listen to that 1.5 version, you can definitely hear it's the same version as the one in Babe. Take a listen for yourself. Yeah, I didn't even notice that until just a couple of years ago when I did a review for it for the website, and I just realized that song had pretty much just a sped up version of the original song, which is actually much slower, has sort of a reggae beat to it, and it works on both levels. Like, it works as a slow song, but it also works as a faster paced song after it's almost 20 years later. And yeah, what more can I say about Babe? It's just a great film that still holds up after so many years. So, with that said, let us move on to the next movie, and that is Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe starring in Virtuosity.
In this high-tech crime prevention facility, one man has been recruited to play a simulated game. The objective: to hunt down the ultimate virtual reality killer, Sid 6.7. There's only one problem. The computer changed the program. Now, he's in the real world.
He's interactive.
On your knees, now!
He doesn't enjoy the game unless he's playing against his favorite opponent, and that's me.
From the director of Lawnmower Man.
He's recreating mass murders.
So you're saying Sid's a copycat?
Sid 6.7 is intent on improving the original.
Denzel Washington.
Just because I'm carrying around the joy of killing your family inside me doesn't mean we can't be friends.
Virtuosity.
Game over.
Of course, you get the director of Lawnmower Man to do a movie about a killer straight from the computer. And it's another one of those movies that we got in '95 where the computer was the enemy, or the computer was part of the major storyline. We've already talked about several movies that were very much like this. I'd probably say it's the best of the ones that we've looked at for the most part so far. One of the best, at least. But it really isn't saying a whole lot because this movie isn't all that great. And I think it's one of those movies where it works. Where it works is in the two leads. Denzel Washington, I think, does what he does best in this movie. He actually rewrote a lot of this story and dialogue while they were filming. They took out a whole subplot about him falling in love with the doctor character played by Kelly Lynch. They actually took that out of the movie, and it was basically because Washington basically rewrote the script there. But I think the person that's really having the most fun in this movie is Russell Crowe. Like, he's having a good time playing this bad guy, this virtual reality assassin. And he really does have a lot of the fun and moments in the movie. Like, you could tell he's having the time of his life with this film. But as far as everything else goes, it definitely looked like they were trying to do something similar to Lawnmower Man, and that's why they brought in the same director. But there just really wasn't a good twist at the end, or a good third act surprise to really give it its own unique, distinctive look. But like I said before, it's not a bad film. I mean, Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe really are saving the film. But other than that, though, it's just a mostly forgettable film. If you want to see a better Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe film, go watch American Gangster. That's a film that's way better on so many levels, and it's a great film. It's probably one of the best movies from the decade of the 2000s. But other than that, Virtuosity is kind of a mixed bag film. Most people don't like it. I think Denzel and Russell Crowe really do keep it afloat for a movie that's passable, but nothing really all that spectacular. So, with that said, let us go on to the next movie, and that is Daniel Stern in the comedy Bushwhacked.
We got a fugitive on the loose here, people. He's armed, he is dangerous, and he's got himself some hostages.
Kind of cut the trailer a little short there, but Bushwhacked is one of those movies that was notoriously known for not being all that great, but it was actually something that originally started off as a spin-off to Home Alone. It was actually going to be Daniel Stern's Marv character, who had been reformed and actually gets involved in this adventure, which could have been something very interesting, but unfortunately the movie just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense after that, because when you really look at this movie and see what could have been, it definitely wouldn't have fit what they were going to go with here. And I won't say that the movie is downright terrible. I think it does have some moments in there where it's like, okay, there's definitely some parts here that I did get a good chuckle out of, but other than that, though, there's nothing really all that funny about it. And the trailer, I think, really does have pretty much sums up why it didn't work, because it's trying to be like a mix between what was popular 2 years ago. You had The Fugitive and The Cliffhanger in that one little trailer there, and I don't know. I just didn't think it worked all that well. And I think it's a film that really had a lot of potential. If they had gone with the original intention where it was going to be Marv in this role instead of somebody else, I don't really think it could have worked as well as they thought it would have. And it doesn't work as well as it does here. It's just kind of like, it's not that great of a film, but at the same time, it's one that I saw when I was a kid, so part of me does have a little bit of that nostalgic edge to it, so maybe I'm giving it more of a pass than any person usually would. It's not a good movie by any means, but it's definitely, I've seen far worse compared to this. It's just like, it's there, it's nothing all that special, but like I said, I've seen a whole lot worse, so that is Bushwhacked. Let's move on to the next movie, and that is Steven Weber starring in Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, you are being ridiculous.
Can you tell if you're having a nervous breakdown?
This sex thing has got completely out of hand.
Dad, I've stopped having sex.
Just stop having sex.
No sex? You mean just safe sex?
My dear, what you need is a relationship.
A relationship? And shoes.
Steve.
Jeffrey?
You had a boyfriend, then you could relax.
How about phone sex? What?
Jeffrey, you're beginning to have a problem.
Oh, Fred, let's help him out. Sweetheart, what are you wearing?
Jeffrey, listen to reason.
Dad, I'm not going to have phone sex with you and Mom.
Jeffrey!
Oh, and what about this person, Steve? From the first second I saw you, I fantasized about you, letting you do things to me that I have only committed with 5,000 other men.
I mean, Jeffrey, it's just sex.
You know, in a better world, I could ask you to square dance.
Oh, look, a wholesome gay couple.
Just so there's no surprises, I'm HIV positive.
You should have told me.
I did.
Well, sooner, before things happen.
Oh, before I kissed you.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that life is suddenly radioactive. Of course life sucks. It always will, so why not make the most of it? How dare you not lunge for any shred of happiness?
How about tomorrow night?
I'm working till 10.
Afterwards.
Well, come on. You're gay, you're single.
It isn't pretty.
Yes. Yes. Table for two?
It's my decision. I get to be Jeffrey.
Oh. What do you want?
Jewelry.
I don't know about anybody else, but I think that trailer really did not sell this movie well. It felt like a trailer that was just all over the place. There was nothing really all that amazing about it. But it does sound more promising than the trailer actually gives it credit for. I mean, this movie, basically the premise is that it takes place in Manhattan during the height of the AIDS epidemic and revolves around this character, Jeffrey, played by Steven Weber, who's a gay man who has sworn off sex because of what was going on. And it is not so much that Jeffrey is afraid of dying himself, but that he is afraid that he'll fall in love with someone who is bound to die. Thus, his celibacy is not only about sex, but also relationships in general. Almost immediately after that, he meets a guy named Steve, who is an HIV-positive man, and he experiences an emotional conflict as he must face his fear in order to accept love, often breaking the fourth wall to do so. With the help of his friends, an interior decorator played by Patrick Stewart, his partner Darius, as well as a cast of cameos including Nathan Lane and Sigourney Weaver, and he's basically able to overcome his fears and begin a relationship with the Steve character. I haven't seen the movies, so that's why I kind of ran down the plot there, because I really didn't know too much about it until I did the research on it. But it's written by Paul Rudnick, who had done the Addams Family movies. Christopher Ashley is a name that I think I'm familiar with, but I'm not too sure. I'm trying to look at his biography here. I don't think I know. I've heard the name before. I just have not seen any other of his works before, so I can't really say anything on that front here. But the premise alone sounds pretty interesting, and I just think that trailer didn't do it any favors by selling it. I don't think it did well at the box office, but it did well critically. It got some decent awards, and everybody thinks Patrick Swayze should have gotten some awards consideration for his role in this movie, and he does look like he's having a good time in that role. So, yeah, I mean, this definitely could be something very interesting. Like, it could be a very funny movie, but man, like I said, that trailer did not do it any favors. So, again, can't really say too much more about Jeffrey because I haven't seen it. So, why don't we go ahead and wrap it up with the last movie that we have here, and that is Unzipped.
See, best parties in the business. Ow! Can you see what I'm wearing?
And I have like the little curls here.
Last season, the fashion world slammed his collection. Isaac Mizrahi's show was a mess.
Don't show these things to me.
Now, to make his comeback, he's hired the best talent in the business for the fashion event of the year. I'm not that stressed out.
You have a very big day tomorrow.
I hate when people tell me I'm stressed out.
Let's go, let's go!
When the music comes on, the stars come out, what happens on stage is almost as outrageous as what's going on backstage.
It has to be the most wonderful 20 minutes of a designer's life.
Oh, Naomi, that's coming out. And there are girls changing from behind the screen so you can see through.
See us in bras and underwear?
Maybe.
Are they gonna want to do that?
No.
No. We really do see everything. Oh, yes. Everything! You show me the pose and
All right. It's the movie the New York Times proclaims hilarious. And Entertainment Weekly calls wickedly funny. Take an undercover peek behind the scenes.
That thing is in my face all the time, sweetie.
And behind the screens.
Wait a minute.
At the most beautiful women in the world. In the film Rolling Stone calls the best party movie of the year. The wild, weird,
I'm thick under my skirt.
wonderful world of fashion.
You just made fashion history.
Unzipped.
Is it worth it? It's always worth it. Even when it sucks, it's worth it.
So no joke, when I watched the trailer for this, I thought I was re-reviewing a different version of Pret-a-Porter, the Robert Altman movie from last year that took place around Paris Fashion Week. It was a movie that was not a big success whatsoever, and I thought that this was that same movie again, just with a different title. But it's a much different movie. It's a documentary that follows fashion designer Isaac Mizrahi, who is a name that I've heard of. I don't know exactly what he's been behind, like what kind of stuff he's made, but I've seen his name in department stores like Macy's and Kaufman's when that used to be around. And I definitely know who he is, but I just don't know what kind of stuff he made. But the movie basically follows him, and as he was the then boyfriend of this director, Douglas Keeve, who made the documentary, and it basically plans and ultimately shows his 1994 collection. And the film notoriously put a riff in the relationship of him and the director that they eventually broke up after it came out. And there's also appearances by Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, Kate Moss, and so you see Richard Gere in there as well as Liza Minnelli, Eartha Kitt, other celebrities and designers from the fashion world and beyond. And that's really all I know about the film because I haven't seen it. But like I said, I thought it was the same movie I looked at last time, but it's a much different film. It's a documentary, and it's got some decent reviews for it, so it could be something good, but like I said, I can't really say too much about it because I haven't seen it, but it came out this weekend, might as well bring it up, so that's pretty much all I've got on that one, so Unzipped.
Shadow of death. I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left.
Who are those kids? Rejects from hell?
No. The kids with high IQs and low grades. All you gotta do is get their attention.
Once a Marine, always a Marine. Most of my students don't even know what a verb is. You want to pass, all you have to do is try.
Let's play a game for it.
Straight 8-ball, call your shots, no slot, best out of 3 games. Loser rack. Haven't seen you guys in a week. Thought maybe you got lost on your way to class. Wanted to help you find your way back.
My boys don't go to your school no more, and Matt's gonna be here.
You took him out of school?
Go find yourself some other poor boys to save.
You gotta be crazy to stay here and teach these program classes.
Why do you stay?
Why do I smoke? I'm crazy.
I will not go down underground because somebody tells me that death's coming around.
Because that's the difference between owning your life and being afraid.
You mean like a guy's got a gun to your head and he's pulling the trigger and you say, I choose to die?
These kids are so fragile.
You got to rage against the dying of the light.
You promised!
Yeah, but we had to. We couldn't walk around with our heads up no more. You're a Marine, you understand. If you don't stand up, you can't walk down the street.
Nobody's forcing you to be here. You have a choice. You can stay or you can leave.
You come and live in my neighborhood for 1 week, and then you tell me if you got a choice.
There are a lot of people who live in your neighborhood who choose not to get on that bus. That is a choice. There are no victims in this classroom.
So this ended up being one of the biggest surprise hits of the year. It actually went on to gross close to $180 million worldwide. It led to a not less than successful TV series, I should say, which aired on ABC the following year, that had Annie Potts in the role that Michelle Pfeiffer plays in this movie. And really, when you look at it, there's not really a whole lot there that makes it stand out compared to the other movies that are very similar to this. I mean, it's pretty much the same concept as something like Lean On Me or Stand and Deliver, where you have somebody coming in to this classroom with a whole bunch of bad people, bad students that get involved with crime and all that type of stuff, and the goal is the teacher to turn their lives around. Really, this doesn't do anything different, except the fact that it takes place in the middle of the 90s, where you have a high school in California, where most of the time those schools there were filled with people like this, bad people that just needed somebody to really come in and tell them the cold hard truth about life itself. And like I said, there really isn't anything unique or different about it, but at the same time, though, I didn't think it was a bad movie. I think it's a decently made film, mostly because of the performances all around. You got Michelle Pfeiffer, who does a pretty good job as the teacher. You have George Zundra, Courtney B. Vance, Robin Bartlett, John Neville, Lorraine Toussaint, Camilla Winbush, Ivan Sergei, Paula Garces, Jeffrey Garcia. Some notable names in here, and really, the story itself is pretty generic, but it works just enough where you can watch it and be like, you know what, I got something out of it. It's not something incredible, but it's a pretty decent film. It's a film that I went in like, okay, there's something. I'm not really expecting a whole lot there because I've seen the story done better in other movies like this, but it does work fine for what it is, mostly because of what the performances do for it. Like, I really think if these performances weren't as great as they could have been, this could have been something that would have easily been forgotten, but let's just be honest, the real reason why this movie has had the lasting longevity that it has is because of that soundtrack, and especially Coolio's Gangster's Paradise. I mean, not only is it just a great song, period, but it's just a song that just fits this movie so well. I mean, you saw how the trailer opened it up. They let you know right away where this song came from, and that's one of the interesting things about Disney back then. It's not just the movies that were very successful to them, but the soundtracks they put out and the songs they were able to sell, not just in the animated films, but in movies like this. Like, you had this song in this movie, and then you have songs like Because You Love Me from Celine Dion with Up Close and Personal, which comes out the year after this, and also The Preacher's Wife had some songs that were very successful. I mean, Disney knew how to market movies back then. I mean, they still do now, but they did a pretty good job of not only marketing the movie itself, but the soundtracks as well. They did a really good job of doing that back then, at least even back then during this time period. But yeah, let's be honest. That's the only real reason why Dangerous Minds still has a lasting impact, is because of that soundtrack, specifically Gangster's Paradise. I mean, you still see memes of it all over the place, and I should know. I've been guilty of using a couple of them myself as of recently. But the song itself is just pretty damn good. Like, it's a song that just still holds up after all these years. It's just a great song. It's just it's just one song that just holds up so well over the years. It's an amazing song, and really, it's the best thing about this movie in particular. It's that song that really just is the one thing that you remember most from this film. The film itself is just okay. It's nothing that spectacular. It's nothing that groundbreaking. At least in my opinion, I don't think it really has deserved that lasting longevity for the film itself, but mostly for the soundtrack that it inspired. So, other than that, that's Dangerous Minds for you. So, yeah, let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Keanu Reeves in A Walk in the Clouds.
But after what I've seen in the war, I mean, it gave me time to think about life, what it means. Are you going to Sacramento?
Going home. My family has a vineyard in Napa. He's going to kill me.
Who?
My father.
I don't know your father, but
I'm pregnant. If I come home this way without a husband, he'll kill me.
Well, how about if you do show up with a husband? Stays one night, leaves in the morning.
Hey! It'll be okay. Like hell, it'll be okay.
Will someone tell me what is going on?
Your daughter, she is married.
20th Century Fox presents an epic story of family.
Who is he? He's nobody.
My daughter can trace her ancestors back 400 years, and she has married a man with no past and no future.
tradition. It's a special time. It's a time of magic.
Come on, you're a married woman now.
What about Pedro?
He's not married.
Neither are we.
Deception.
Un moment, Papa.
Tell me what's going on here.
And honor.
Would you marry someone if it wasn't your baby they were carrying?
If I loved her?
I want the truth.
The only truth you want is the truth according to you.
Victoria, please.
You can't help me anymore.
Why can't you just love her? She's so easy to love.
Stay out of our business.
She is my business.
Victoria! From the acclaimed director of Like Water for Chocolate comes the story of a man who risked everything he had for everything he ever wanted. Keanu Reeves, and introducing Altana Sanchez-Dion.
To what if?
To what if?
A Walk in the Clouds.
So, Walk in the Clouds was the follow-up for Alfonso Arroyo after he did Like Water for Chocolate, and this was a much more mainstream film compared to Like Water for Chocolate. Did well enough with critics overall, but the movie itself is just okay. Like, it's a movie that really is just like, I saw it once a long time ago, but I didn't really leave much of a lasting impact for me. I mean, if this movie did anything, honestly, it did at least show that Keanu Reeves, good lord, Keanu Reeves, I should say, it at least shows Keanu Reeves has some range as an actor. I mean, this is one of those movies where you look at it and you see that, okay, he can carry a movie like this that's kind of a melodramatic, romantic drama. I mean, he does a pretty good job of keeping this movie afloat with him, and I'm going to butcher this name completely, but Altana Sanchez-Dion? Aitana Sanchez-Dion. See, I told you I was going to mess it up, but I mean, their chemistry works pretty well. You got a pretty good cast overall here. Anthony Quinn's very good in this. Freddie Rodriguez is in this movie. So is Deborah Messing. Interesting story about Deborah Messing. When in recent interviews, she talked about how she was tricked into signing a nudity waiver after being assured by the producers that no nudity scenes were going to be required and it was going to be a PG-13 movie. They couldn't show it anyway. Nothing was going to happen to them. And the director just had a big ego. She only learned on the set for the international release that those scenes nevertheless are going to be filmed regardless. Asking the director what angles would be shot since she wanted to be prepared, he told her that as an actress she has no right to ask about his shots, that it was her job to get naked. So, take that for what you will, but that sounds pretty fucked up from that director. Like, yeah, like, she describes it as sexual harassment, and that's pretty much the definition of sexual harassment. I mean, I don't know what else you could say about it, but yeah, take that for what you will. But as far as, like I said, the movie's concerned, it's a movie that's just okay. It's a movie that I think was trying to be a lot more. It was trying to be like a modern, sweeping epic, something on the lines of Gone with the Wind, but it doesn't really quite have that ebb to really push it into the next direction that it needs to go into. But like I said, I think I think for the most part, it does a good job of showing what Keanu Reeves' range can be as an actor. I mean, he was slowly but surely beginning to build his craft at this point. I mean, he kind of already established himself with Point Break and then Speed, and now you have him starring in movies like this where you get his name out there, and slowly but surely he becomes the actor that we know him as today. Like, he has a lot of range as an actor, and I think this was one of his best examples where he showed that he could be a really good actor in a good drama, and we've seen it in a number of other dramas like this that have been much better than this. But other than that, though, for a one-time watch, I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I got to see something good out of Keanu Reeves' performance in this. But other than that, though, the movie itself is mostly forgettable. So that's A Walk in the Clouds. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Disney's A Kid in King Arthur's Court.
Lean in, cover the plate, pick a point in the outfield, let it rip.
There are times when every kid dreams of being a hero. Right three, you're out.
For Calvin Fuller, it's going to take a miracle
Hey, quiet, everybody!
to make his dream come true.
King Arthur.
Cool.
As from today, you're a knight in training.
What am I doing here?
I brought you here to save Camelot.
Bummer.
Good fit. Can you see?
Perfectly.
Now, when it's time to fight, he's got the edge. And when it's time to party,
I give thee Calvin Fuller of Reseda.
he's got the technology.
Double cheeseburger, lettuce and tomato, and a whole wheat bun.
Good Lord.
I hear you can make anything.
I have that reputation.
What about this?
What is it?
But this time I need something bigger.
Out among my own people.
History's getting a new hero, and he's giving everyone the royal treatment. A kid in King Arthur's court.
Just put it in your mouth and chew.
What did they call this bad dog bubblegum?
I have no idea, Your Highness.
So yeah, this is what happens when you dump a family movie in the middle of August, and this is what the end result usually ends up being, because, you know, there was a time when, you know, it's August, it's still technically the summertime, but the kids are getting ready to go back to school, so the studios say, you know what, just put whatever garbage family film out there that we know is not going to make any money. Let's put it out of here. Let's hope we can make something out of it. Hope we can make some money out of it. And this is one of those movies that thought that was going to work this time around, but it did not. It was a movie that was obviously bad for a number of reasons. None more the fact that it was just a product of the time period that really. It was not clever. It was not funny. It's not anything interesting. It's a film that's it's dated itself right from the beginning. And I mean, I guess the only real thing you could say about it is that, hey, you want to see an early glimpse of Kate Winslet and Daniel Craig before they became the superstars that we know them as? Here you go. But yeah, other than that, though, there was no reason to go see this movie in a theater in August of 1995. Actually, I take that back. There is one thing.
Disney's biggest star is back in theater.
I'm back in business.
When a shocking experiment brings out the animal in Mickey Mouse.
Oh my gosh.
It's an all-new, all-Mickey cartoon adventure. Runaway Brave, rated G, playing in theaters exclusively with Disney's A Kid in King Arthur's Court, rated PG. Starts Friday, August 11th, at a theater near you.
I mean, go see Runaway Brain on the big screen, and then, yeah, you could just go off and go somewhere else. I mean, Pocahontas has still got to be playing at some theaters at some point. But yeah, interesting note here. If you saw this internationally, you got to see this in front of a Goofy movie, and really, that would have been so much better to see here in America instead of having to go see A Kid in King Arthur's Court. I feel like Disney dumped this movie there, this short film, in front of it because they needed something to sell the film, but it really didn't sell the film because it was stuck to a terrible movie. But this movie itself, the Runaway Brain, let's talk about this, because this was the real thing that you needed to see with A Kid in King Arthur's Court, because this is the one thing you're going to remember from it. It's a short film that is so brilliantly funny. It's so clever. It's so hilarious. It's surprisingly dark for a Mickey Mouse cartoon, and it's just amazing. The animation in this is fantastic. The humor in this is brilliant. You've got great animation from many great Disney people. Andres Deja, who's become a prolific Disney animator, is heavily involved in this. Chris Bailey, who was one of the people who worked on Kim Possible, was the director of this. The music by John Debney is fantastic. The animation is just so brilliant. The comedy is very funny. There's references to Army of Darkness in this movie. I mean, you got to give it that. I mean, it's one of the best things to come out of Mickey Mouse in a long time. In terms of shorts, in terms of animation, because, of course, we had Prince and the Pauper 5 years before that, but that was attached to The Rescuers Down Under. It's just a brilliant short film. If you haven't seen it, go look for it. You can't find it on YouTube, unfortunately, but if you go to, like, Daily Motion, or even if you have Disney Plus overseas, it's there. But it's a short that really, I think Disney's purposely trying to hide it, because It hasn't been on Disney Plus since the streamer came on, and you can rarely find copies of it. I think it's available on a Mickey Mouse in living color when they did the Walt Disney Treasures set. I think it was the second volume they did it with. I think that's the only place that you can get it on a DVD, but like this really is one of the best things that make it to feature Mickey and Minnie Mouse. I mean, to see that is like seeing this in front of a Goofy movie would have been fantastic, but nope. Had to go see it with Kid in King Arthur's Court because you want to try to hide it, put it on one of the worst movies you've ever put out. But Runaway Brain is far from that. It's an amazing short. Like I said, go look for it. You will not be disappointed by it. That's the one reason you should have seen A Kid in King Arthur's Court in theaters. After that short played, should have been just like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. So yeah, because what's following after that is not going to end very well. So there you go. Kid in King Arthur's Court and Runaway Brain. Obviously, the one with Mickey Mouse is the better option in that double feature. So anyway, let us move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Edward Burns' The Brothers McMullen.
Listen to the advice of your bigger, wiser, and more experienced brother. I have a theory. Man is like a banana. Strong and firm. And he's protected by his all-important shield. But when a woman comes along, she sees this bright beast, and she wants it.
Come on, Jack. Kiss me.
But she's not happy with it the way it is.
Ooh, I remember the days when you used to say, "I'll never be too tired for sex."
So she starts to peel away the all-important shield. First, she wants to see your romantic side.
You've never been in love, have you?
Then she wants to see your passionate side.
And remember, I'm Catholic. I shouldn't be doing this in the first place.
Then she wants to see your soft, caring, feminine side.
Friendship.
Yeah.
Not love.
No. And she keeps peeling and peeling until you're left there, buck naked, blowing in the wind.
Hey, I don't need any new ideas, all right? I'm confused enough already.
The Brothers McMullen. Jack.
Do you think Jack would ever have an affair?
Mm-hmm. No way, no how.
Patrick.
I think I'm going to hell. Why are you going to hell this time?
Barry.
I'm convinced I'll never have enough interest in any one woman that I'd be willing to give up the joys of bachelorhood.
The New York Times calls The Brothers McMullen a terrific, crowd-pleasing comedy, a triumph.
Oh, I love you!
The Los Angeles Times calls it romantic, charming, and engaging.
You know, when you find your true companion.
Stop right there, please.
The Brothers McMullen.
Just when things are starting to happen for me, I gotta go fall in love.
Winner Best Picture of the 1995 Sundance Film Festival.
So The Brothers McMullen was notable for a number of reasons. First off, it was the first ever released by Fox Searchlight Pictures, the independent studio for 20th Century Fox, which eventually went on to become very, very well known in their own rights. It's with films like The Full Monty coming after this, and then among other films, a lot of some Best Picture winners, including Slumdog Millionaire. We can delve into that thing for a long time, but this is the first film that Edward Burns ever worked on, and Edward Burns has become one of our more underrated actors. Like, anytime he does something, it usually is very good for the most part. He's been in a couple of roles where it's been kind of a supporting role in like a mainstream comedy, but other than that, though, he's made a ton of really good stuff over the years. But he wrote this back in 1993. He was working as a production assistant for Entertainment Tonight, where he worked with the cameraman Dick Fisher, who later produced and edited this film. And Burns' own Irish Catholic background fed into the script, and the film was mostly shot in his hometown in Long Island, New York. It was shot with a 16mm film, only cost about $25,000. Robert Redford was actually on the set of Entertainment Tonight looking for doing interviews, and Burns approached him with a copy of the film and asking him to watch it, and Redford later eventually invited him to the Sundance Film Festival, which led to a distribution deal, and of course getting the rights to the song "I Will Remember You" from Sarah McLachlan to play over the credits, and it eventually went on to become a pretty good hit, both critically and financially, and it introduced Edward Burns as kind of this next Woody Allen, and he has made some very Woody Allen-esque type of movies, and this is definitely a film that feels very much like a Woody Allen movie, but it's a very solid film. It's a nicely made film. I think Eddie Burns really proves that he's got a lot of potential as an actor and a writer and director here. He's very good in the film. You have people like Connie Britton from Friday Night Lights and 911 in this as well. Just a really solid film. It's a nice little story. It has some very funny moments, some good comedy, good drama. It just works really well. It's a film that's really well made on so many fronts. It's a really beautifully made film. It's one I highly recommend. If you want to see something very funny, very unique, very Woody Allen-esque, I highly recommend checking this one out, because this is one that's really a damn good movie, and it shows how good of a filmmaker that Edward Burns has become. And this is where it all started for him. So, other than that, yeah, that's the Brothers McMullen. Rated PG-13 because why not? I mean, I would say that we have to bring all the kids in here, but let's be honest, all the kids were playing Mortal Kombat, so regardless if this was R-rated or PG-13, they're gonna go see this movie anyway. And I mean, this one is definitely one of the more, I guess at that point in time, it was one of the better video game adaptations, just for the fact that it definitely does feel like definitely does feel like a big screen version of the video game. I mean, the action sequences, the atmosphere, the production values, the characters' designs. I mean, it looks like something straight out of the game. I mean, that's the one thing you got to give this movie credit for, is the fact that it definitely feels like the video game. Unlike some of the other video game movies that we've looked at so far, Super Mario Brothers, Double Dragon, Street Fighter, just to name a few. And so there is that. Probably the biggest problem with the movie overall is a couple of things. One is the fact that it is PG-13, and that means we have to tone down the violence in the video games. It's not as fun as the video games are, but I mean, you could still have a way to do this and make it fun, even if you had to tone down the violence of it. But in here, they just don't really do it all that well. The script overall is mediocre at best, and the casting overall isn't bad. I mean, there are some good casting choices in here, but the characters do get annoying really fast, and the people who are playing these characters are doing these insane over-the-top performances that get kind of old really, really fast. I mean, there's just no fun in there. Like Christopher Lambert playing Lord Raiden in this movie. I mean, he's having the time of his life, but he sounds a lot like Peter Falk. Not Peter Falk. Peter Lorre is what I'm trying to say. Like he sounds like Peter Lorre whenever he talks. He has that chiseled voice of his where he's just like, "It's master." He's like, why did I just do Igor for the Frankenstein movies? But he definitely sounded like that, though. He definitely sounded like Peter Lorre whenever he talks. And Bridget Wilson, she gets really annoying really fast in this movie. I mean, again, kind of like in Last Action Hero, when she screams or goes over the top, it gets annoying really, really fast. And I don't hate her as an actress, but it seems like in most of the movies that we've looked at her in so far, she's done nothing but scream at the top of her lungs, and like it's over the top screaming and it's like annoying screaming. Like whenever she screams, it's like, okay, calm it down a little bit there, lady. I mean, there's just so much here in this movie that is a mess, but there is stuff in here that does work. And truth be told, this is still the best Mortal Kombat movie, because as much as Mortal Kombat 2021 did a decent job of getting the violence in there, it still wasn't a great film overall. I think a lot of people liked it, but at the same time, they felt underwhelmed by what they were expecting from it. And I guess you can kind of say the same thing here. This is still the best of the Mortal Kombat movies, but just barely. I mean, I mean, I'd gladly take this or the 2021 film over Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which we'll get to in a couple of years. But, I mean, Mortal Kombat is a decent film. It definitely could have been a whole lot better, but I give it credit for at least keeping in tone with the spirit of the video games, acting like a legitimate adaptation of the video games for the most part. I just wish the writing was a little bit better. They found a way to get to the over-the-top violence in here, even with the PG-13 rating, and I wish the performances were better. But other than that, though, I'd still watch this again. Mortal Kombat, the original one, it's still a decent film, and still one of the better video game adaptations we've looked at so far. But of course, it would take almost 30 years before we actually started getting legitimately good video game adaptations, and we'll get to those ones eventually. But that's Mortal Kombat. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is The Babysitter's Club.
Hi, I'm Christy, and these are my friends. We're pretty tight. We even have our own club. Babysitter's Club, everybody knows us. That's because everybody uses us. I brought a little something for your little cousin. Where is he?
Hi, I'm Luca, the little cousin. And you're?
Your sitter, I guess. Are you gonna kiss her? But this summer, a lot is going on. Welcome to our camp! And it seems like a lot is changing. Dad?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
I'm moving back.
We're meeting different guys.
Do you want to go to the movies with me tonight?
Alan, get real.
I am.
Alan Gray likes you. Likes her? Or likes her? Trying to figure out some weird new feelings. Do you think I should have told him? What? I'm only 13. So? He's 17? That's ancient! Keeping a few secrets. Have you seen Mom?
I don't want her to really know I'm here yet.
And basically, dealing with life.
I just can't believe you're only 13!
Honey, look us outside. Tell her I'm not here. It's like you're not with us, Christy.
I missed you.
You don't care about me, and everyone who does care about me is mad at me.
What is going on you lately?
Yeah, you don't understand. Where is she? We have to find her. Christy's dad came back. We could never have known how the summer would turn out. But you know what? It's turning into a summer we'll never forget.
From the pages of the best-selling books that have captivated a generation comes the movie about 7 devoted friends, one amazing club,
We spent some of the best years of our lives in this place.
and the extraordinary summer that changed them all.
We're more than just a club. We're friends. Best friends. Nothing could ever change that.
The Babysitter's Club.
We're rich. We can almost buy a car. And in 5 years, we can drive it.
So obviously, this is definitely not something in my typical, in the age bracket that I should be watching this in. I mean, I was 6 years old when this came out, and I'm a boy, obviously. I'm a little kid at this time watching this movie, and it's one of those movies where it kind of sticks with you. Like, it kind of sticks with you if you actually saw it. I watched it again recently to get ready for this, and I gotta say, this movie actually holds up a lot better than I think this has any right to, because, you know, I'm obviously not a big fan of the books. I have watched a couple of the old TV series. I mean, that theme song for the TV series is so catchy. I can't put it on here because of copyright issues, but I saw a couple of episodes of the TV show, but then I saw the movie when I was a kid. And I remember kind of liking it. It was something that I shouldn't like it. It's not in my typical age bracket, but it does a pretty good job of adapting the stories to the books, of which I read later on. But it's a very good movie, and I think it works for a number of reasons. You have Melanie Mayron from 30-something doing the direction on this. She brought up some of the people from 30-something on here, including Peter Horton, who plays Christy's dad in this movie. You have Shyla Fisk playing Christy from Snow Day in Orange County, Rachel Lee Cook in one of her early film roles, Larissa Olniak from Secret World of Alex Mack, Bruce Davidson, Ellen Burstyn, Austin O'Brien from Terminator, Marla Sokolov, Kyla Pratt's in this movie as well. There's a lot of young talent in this movie, and they definitely show a lot of that talent in this movie. I mean, is it a great film? Not really. It's definitely... I think it's a nice comfort food movie, and it helps to have a nice soundtrack, too. Like, I mean, you heard it in the trailer. You have Cornflake Girl by Tori Amos in there, Good by Better Than Ezra, and Dreams by the Cranberries, and just that soundtrack overall is just filled with so much 90s that I can't help but love it, man. I mean, I think it's a great soundtrack overall, but that's mostly because I like that music from the decade as well as the 80s as well. And like I said, the movie itself, it's a nice little film. It doesn't really do anything groundbreaking. It doesn't do anything unique or different. But it's a nice comfort food movie. Like, if you go into it with the right mindset, if you go into it thinking that, if you go into it with a good mindset of, this might be something interesting, you might actually get something out of it. Like, I think the people who know these books very well definitely do like it a lot, but even if you're not a big fan of these books, I think you can find a lot to enjoy in this movie. I mean, there's a lot of good writing in here. The acting is very good overall. It's a nice comfort food movie. It doesn't do anything groundbreaking, but it's, at the same time, it's a nice little film that if you find it somewhere and you actually watch it, you do actually get a lot more out of it than I think a lot of people would have expected from a movie like this. So that's just my personal thoughts on it. So that's The Babysitter's Club. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Bryan Singer's The Usual Suspects.
Usually, when there's a crime, there's a motive.
27 men died on that pier. For what looks to be $91 million worth of dope that wasn't there.
And when there's a lineup, there's one real suspect. Kaiser Soze!
He saw Kaiser Soze.
But this is not the usual crime. And these are not the usual suspects.
This whole thing was a shakedown.
Winner of 2 Academy Awards, including Best Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor, Kevin Spacey.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
The Usual Suspects.
I mean, really, do I need to say anything more about this movie that hasn't already been said already? The Usual Suspects is just an amazing film that really launched not just Bryan Singer as a pretty solid director for a good chunk of his career, with a couple of misfires here and there, but also it's one of the early films written by Christopher McQuarrie, who won an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, and later went on to become a prolific director with The Way of the Gun, and of course his many collaborations with Tom Cruise, Jack Reacher, the Mission Impossible films of late, Top Gun Maverick, of course, just a number of movies that he and him have been involved in, and really the movie itself is just a great mystery film. Like, everybody in this movie does a very good job filling these roles. Stephen Baldwin, Gabriel Byrne, Chaz Palminteri, Kevin Pollak, Pete Postlethwaite, Kevin Spacey, Benicio del Toro, Giancarlo Esposito. Just a great cast overall. That iconic scene in front of the prison. I just had the name for it. Why do I keep forgetting it? The prison lineup scene. I don't know why I couldn't figure that out, but that prison lineup scene is just so synonymous now. It's a moment that everyone knows the line, "Give me the keys, you cocksucking motherfucker." I mean, the way they're saying that line, the fact that that was entirely improvised. I mean, Stephen Baldwin's reaction alone is absolutely worth the price of admission. And, you know, Kevin Spacey, who ends up playing a critical part in this movie, he won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, rightfully deserved too. I mean, I'm not gonna say the big twist and everything, but I think you can kind of figure it out if you've seen little bits and pieces here and there. But really, there's nothing more I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said. It's such a brilliantly made film, a fantastic film. Usual Suspects, I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it already, do yourself a favor and see it, man, because you're missing out on something really special. So that's The Usual Suspects. Let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is the documentary Jupiter's Wife.
Her air of well-being that made me curious. When I introduced myself, she said her name was Maggie. Then she calmly said that she'd been expecting me, that she had extrasensory perception, and had been communicating with me for several days. The next morning, I find myself near Bethesda Fountain, looking for Maggie.
So while working on a documentary, this director, Michael Negroponte, encounters a homeless woman in Central Park who claims to be Robert Ryan's daughter. What's more, the woman, Maggie, says she's the god's Jupiter's wife, and periodically receives radio transmissions from him. Intrigued, this director abandons his old project and starts interviewing Maggie. The result, after 2 years, is a film that attempts to separate fact and fiction and reconstruct the fascinating real life of this endearing, eccentric woman. That's pretty much all I know about this movie. I haven't seen it, but that really is all I know about this film, because if you go on Wikipedia, there's nothing there for it. I had to go to Google, actually, to figure out what the premise of this was, but and that clip there I got from Apple TV website, and it definitely shows some promise there, but that's really all I can add to it because I haven't seen it. I can't really say too much about it, so yeah. So that's Jupiter's Wife, came out this weekend, and that'll wrap this one up.
He was visiting a bar, and in he walked.
You saw his face?
His face? No. I mean, every step he took towards the light, just when you thought his face was about to be revealed, it wasn't. It was as if the lights dimmed, just for him.
They call him a loner.
I know who you are. Really? You kill drug dealers.
I killed the woman I loved. You ruined my life.
They call him a miss.
You've heard the stories of that man that carries the guitar case full of weapons. Find him and kill him.
I hope you don't think you can take someone like Butch all by yourself.
Really?
They made the mistake of calling his bluff.
Is there something in the guitar case? A guitar?
Now, it's time to face the music.
Let's play.
Desperado, the new film from Robert Rodriguez.
Desperado is, of course, the sequel to Robert Rodriguez's previous film, El Mariachi, which put him on the map. And this is definitely a much bigger movie than that movie, to the point where El Mariachi himself was not played by the same actor, although he does appear in this movie. This is Antonio Banderas now starring in the lead role, and it was also the film that was also the breakout role for Salma Hayek. And there's a lot of action in this movie, a lot of really good action, too. It may be a little bit too big for its own good, but at the same time, there's still more than enough there to really enjoy this movie. This is a really fun, amazing film with a lot of good action sequences all around. Great performances by Banderas and Hayek. You got a cast that also includes Steve Buscemi, Cheech Marin, Quentin Tarantino. The pieces are there for something really great here, and there are definitely a lot of times where that is the case. But like I said before, it does get a little bit too big for its own good on various occasions throughout the course of the film. And it struggles a little bit in the story department. It's kind of stuff that we've seen done over and over again in movies like this. But at the same time, there's definitely a lot to really admire about this movie. There's so much fun with the action sequences, the directing style of Robert Rodriguez, the acting all around. It's still more than enough to really recommend it. I wouldn't say it's better than El Mariachi, but it is still a pretty solid film all around. I can't recommend it enough. If you love El Mariachi, you're definitely going to love this movie. Desperado, definitely check it out. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions.
On August 25th, Clive Barker invites you to witness the future of terror. Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions. Rated R. Starts Friday, August 25th at theaters everywhere.
Most notable for being Clive Barker's last film he directed as the main director on it. The other two he did was Nightbreed, and of course the more successful Hellraiser. I have not seen this movie, so I can't really say too much about it. From what I've seen here, it was supposed to be the start of a new franchise. Scott Bakula has the leading role in this. You also have Famke Janssen, who would later be seen in GoldenEye the following is later in the year. But it was pretty clear that this was supposed to be the next big horror franchise. They thought that this was going to be the next Hellraiser, but the reviews for this were not looking so good, and the film didn't do gangbuster business at the box office. So I guess they decided not to do these movies. But I mean, from the look at it, it looks like it has a visually pleasing look to it. But other than that, though, I can't really say too much more about it because, like I said, I haven't seen it. I don't usually get into these horror movies as much as everybody else does, but it does look a little bit promising, though. But yeah, other than that, though, Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions, can't really say much about it, but has some promise to it. So, with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is the family film, The Amazing Panda Adventure.
Suburbs is in the jungle of China. This reserve was set up in order to save the panda. Now, with a little help from a friend, he will attempt the impossible and save the pandas. The Amazing Panda Adventure, rated PG. Plus, Warner Brothers' brand new animated short. Watch out, Doc. Carrot Blanca, rated G. Only with The Amazing Panda Adventure. Both start Friday, August 25th at a theater near you.
So much like with the kid in King Arthur's Court 2 weeks ago, this is probably one of those movies that if I had seen it in theaters when it came out, I probably would have stayed for the Looney Tunes short and then left after the movie, because The Amazing Panda Adventure, there ain't nothing too amazing about it. I mean, it has some nice visuals to it. It's got a nice story to it, but it's really nothing all that spectacular. It's kind of like the equivalent of Free Willy from instead of it being a whale this time, it's a panda. And there are moments where there are some fun little moments here and there, but the movie itself is just mostly forgettable. I mean, the one thing that you come out of this remembering the most was, like I said, that Looney Tunes short, Carrot Blanca, which that was my introduction to Casablanca, and I think that was a lot of kids' introduction to Casablanca in the 90s. A lot of moviegoers' first love of Casablanca came from Carrot Blanca, I would assume. That was the short that made me want to see Casablanca, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and it was mostly because of what I saw from Carrot Blanca, which is a brilliantly funny adaptation, a parody of the film, and it has the great music of Richard Stone from Animaniacs and Tiny Toons, the great voice cast that includes Greg Burson, Joe Lasky, the classic Looney Tunes people behind it. It's just a great short, and it's just, every time I watch it, it's still very funny, it's still very creative, it's still very memorable. Like I said, it's the one thing you take away from this. Like, once again, I had that theory that they put these shorts on these really bad movies because they want people to think that everything that was on this one package was just a bad thing, and it really wasn't. And yeah, like I said, Carrot Blanca would probably been the only reason to go see this movie on a big screen. Other than that, The Amazing Panda Adventure itself is just, it's a mixed bag film, mostly not that great. But like I said, I've seen a lot worse compared to this. It's basically not a Free Willy version. It's basically the panda equivalent to Free Willy is what I'm trying to say. So, and even then, it's not really all that great. So that's The Amazing Panda Adventure. Let's move on to the next movie, and that is John Borman's Beyond Rangoon.
In this ancient land, in this forbidden place, Laura Bowman went to the ends of the earth to live the adventure of a lifetime. From acclaimed director John Borman comes the epic story of one woman's unforgettable journey. Beyond Rangoon, rated R, at theaters August 25th.
I have not seen this movie, and I don't think a lot of people really did. And even if they did, they probably don't remember it. This is directed by John Borman, who also did Deliverance. But this is not one of his more memorable films. The movie is about Patricia Arquette playing an American tourist who vacations in the country of Burma in 1988, the year of the 88 uprising. And the movie mostly is filmed in Malaysia and is more notable for what happened beyond what's on the screen, because only weeks into the European release of the film, the Burmese military junta freed Nobel Peace Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi, who's depicted in the film after several years under strict house arrest. The celebrated democracy thanked the filmmakers in her first interview with the BBC, and Suu Kyi was rearrested a few years later, but Beyond Rangoon had already helped to raise world attention on a previously invisible tragedy, the massacres of 1988, and the cruelty of her country's military rulers. So, I guess in a way there is some history to this film, but other than that, though, the adaptation itself is not really all that strong, and you have Patricia Arquette leading the charge along with Frances McDormand and Spalding Gray for some reason. It's just a movie that does not look like it had any memorability factor to it, and judging by the fact that nobody really knew about this movie when they went to go see it, and it's gotten a mixed reception since then, I doubt that this movie made that much of an impact here, but when this movie took place, there was a lot there to be taken from, so I guess there is something to it, even though there's something to it, but at the same time, there really isn't. It's kind of a mixed bag film, judging from what I've seen here. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say too much about it. Who knows? Maybe the movie actually is pretty good, or maybe it's just what I think it is. Just a film that did what it had to do and then just got out there. So yeah, Beyond Rangoon. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is the documentary, The Show.
Once upon a time, not long ago, when people wore pajamas and lived life slow.
I don't want to come visit no rappers in jail. I'm saying, for what? It sold 1 million too. I wish, I mean, it's supposed to be. I mean, I'm not no role model or nothing. I'm not trying to be, but I don't think, if you got all that success, you can't, and I want, I always tell artists, it's all right to be, to be real. Real is, everybody say, I wish I got to where you got. If I got to where you got, I would not be throwing no guns in nobody's faces or robbing nobody or none of that. Or just being in, somebody got a beef with me, believe me, they could go. I'm only going to see Ricky because of the movie. I'm saying that's the only reason. You gotta cut it out? Well, you should make it real. Come on, and I don't understand. I'm older though. I'm 37 years old. I want to travel around the world and chase famous models. I'm still always gonna be ghetto. I'm too old not to be. You know what I'm saying? I'm who I am, but I ain't gotta do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not broke, so I ain't gotta throw no guns in nobody's faces for nothing.
So this is a hip-hop documentary film. You just saw Russell Simmons in there. He stars in this and narrates the film, but most notably about this movie is that it's directed by the current president of Paramount Pictures, and that is Brian Robbins. Him and Michael Tolan, who had done all that at this point, and they'd done Keenan and Kel, were about to do Good Burger. They did this documentary, and Russell Simmons isn't the only big name attached to this. Features a lot of hip-hop's biggest names, including Notorious B.I.G., Sean Puffy Combs, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Warren G, Kid Capri, LL Cool J, Method Man, Naughty by Nature, Run DMC, Twins, Wu-Tang Clan. Everybody is in this movie. Everyone that was mostly involved with Def Jam Records, because, of course, Russell Simmons is the founder of Def Jam Records. So, like I said, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say too much about it, but it's definitely got a lot of interesting elements to it, like the fact that it's directed by Brian Robbins and it has some notable names from this time period, and I don't know, it could be something very interesting to see, but like I said, I don't know too much more about it. I just know that it came out this weekend, so that's why I'm covering it here for right now. So that's The Show. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Tim Daly and Sean Young in the comedy Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde.
A century ago, Dr. Henry Jekyll tried to alter the gene responsible for mankind's violent and sexual behavior. Instead, his miscalculation unleashed the dark side of his own nature. 3 generations later,
to my great-nephew Richard, I leave my grandfather's scientific notebooks.
His great-grandson would try to improve upon the formula. Cheers. But once again, things didn't go according to plan.
Are you all right? Don't be ridiculous. Dr. Jax. I've got to go.
Now, everyone's about to see a side of Dr. Jax
Richard!
they've never seen before.
Are you just gonna stand there and stare at me, or are you gonna hand me that towel?
I'm going to stand here and stare at you.
I'm Richard's new assistant, Helen Hyde.
Welcome aboard.
This is your night to blossom.
She's making his life
I'm a genius!
a little confusing.
What am I talking about?
Because he never knows when she's coming back. Now, he'll have to get rid of her.
This video will better document my metabolic transformation into Helen Hyde.
Richard! This is not what it seems like.
Before she gets rid of him.
No. I warned you, Richard. Don't mess with me. Hildy, you still know how to throw a party.
Sean Young.
You know, I've got a caulking gun, because that ain't gonna do it.
Tim Daly.
Helen and her damn thongs.
Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde.
Sweetheart, Mr. Monkey wants to play.
Man, somewhere in this movie there is a good hook to this. I mean, movie where the Hyde in this movie is actually someone of the opposite sex. I mean, that's something that could be really funny. A guy turning into a woman, and that should be something really interesting and really funny, but man, this movie is just messed up on so many levels. I remember watching this on Comedy Central back in the day, and yeah, it's more bizarre and more weirder than you could possibly imagine. And the fact that they did this with a PG, I think the first thing that's wrong with this is that it's rated PG-13. So this is a story that should have been rated R. Like a guy turning into a woman. I mean, I don't think you can do a lot with a PG-13 rating when you're trying to also bring the kids into this as well, because man, that was just something that's messed up altogether. Second of all, a good idea botched up by really lackluster writers. I mean, yes, you have William Davies and William Osborne, who also wrote the Twins, who's written a lot of great stuff. Twins, the Johnny English movies, Flushed Away, How to Train Your Dragon, Puss in Boots. I mean, there are some good writers attached to this, but man, it definitely does not show here. Third, the visual effects in this movie are just, wow, those look terrible. Like, they really, really look bad. And, I mean, I guess the fourth biggest problem with the movie is that Eddie Murphy did it better the next year with The Nutty Professor. I mean, it's not the same idea, but it is a much better movie. It has better visual effects. It has a better usage of the visual effects than this movie does, which is amazing to think about when you really look at this, because, like, with $8 million, you should at least be able to get something out of these effects, but you saw how they were in the trailer. They looked absolutely terrible. They looked really awful. It also doesn't help that the movie just doesn't look funny at all. It just goes for the straight-out, gross-out humor. And again, it can't go all the way with it because it's PG-13, and they want to try to get the kids in here, which, for an idea like this, it just doesn't work. Plus, some of that comedy is just so lame. It's just so lackluster, cliched comedy. We've seen this done over and over again, and most of the time it wasn't even funny the first time around. But I mean, what more do I need to say about this movie? This is a film that had some high ambitions to it, but one, didn't have the money to do it, to make it to really succeed. Two, it didn't have a good story. Three, there wasn't enough good comedy. And four, The Nutty Professor did it better 1 year later. That's really all you got to say about this one. But, yeah, so that's Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde for you. So let's move on to a much better movie, a better movie with a much more interesting story, and that is Richard Williams' The Thief and the Cobbler. And we're going to delve into the long history of this after this.
From the Academy Award-winning animator of Who Framed Roger Rabbit comes an extraordinary new adventure. Behold the wonders of Arabian Night. Journey to a faraway land, guarded by magic.
We are safe from any threat, as long as those 3 golden balls are on the minaret.
Where a wicked wizard schemes to steal the throne.
The world is mine to take.
And a thick-headed thief paves the way for disaster.
The balls are gone!
Now, only the courage of a beautiful princess.
But she's more than this.
The determination of a humble shoemaker.
What is your name?
I'm Tack. And the help of some outrageous new friends.
I am Ruthless, the chieftain.
Can save an enchanted kingdom.
Just like Les Mis.
Get ready to battle the one-eyes. Boogie with the brigands. And go for the gold. With the first animated motion picture created in widescreen CinemaScope in over 3 decades. Featuring the lyrics of Oscar-winning songwriter Norman Gimbel and the voices of Vincent Price.
Gentlemen, what a delight.
And Jonathan Winters.
Good morning, Arabia.
Arabian Night.
So Arabian Night was one of the many titles that this movie was going under. This is co-written and directed by Richard Williams. It was originally started production back in the 1960s. It went in and out of production for 3 decades, mostly because of the independent funding and the ambitiously complex animation that went into the involvement of it. Shortly after Who Framed Roger Rabbit really put Richard Williams on the map, he was finally able to put this movie into production when Warner Brothers said that they would put it out. And then production went over budget and behind schedule. They cut, and then it was eventually cut down, hastily re-edited by other people without Richard Williams' involvement in it. And then the Completion Bond Company wrapped up production on it without Richard Williams ever knowing about the movie being finished. And eventually got a release in 1993 under Allied Filmmakers with The Princess and the Cobbler. And then 2 years later came here to America finally under the name Arabian Night. And both versions of the film did not do well critically or financially. And it's a shame, too, because there was so much ambition with this movie. This was one of the films with the longest production timelines ever. And some notable names and artists that worked on this movie. This is the last thing they ever worked on. Ken Harris died in 1982. He was a Looney Tunes writer, animator. Emery Hawkins was another one involved with this. Kenneth Williams was involved with this. Vincent Price died 2 years before the film. 2 years before the film came out. 1 month before the film's initial release. I mean, in a way, this movie somehow became a knockoff of Aladdin, even though it was created long before Aladdin ever came out. I mean, and when you look at the movie, there is a lot of high ambition with the animation. The animation in this is incredible. Like, it's really solid animation all around. And it's really something amazing to look at. Unfortunately, the story is just all over the place. And then you add in the fact that they have these voice actors come in. You have Jonathan Winters as the thief. And because the genie made pop culture references in Aladdin, now we got to have this thief make pop culture references, talking about, I'm going to go to Disneyland. It's just like, you get little jokes like that here and there. And it doesn't help that the princess in this movie is not written very well as a character. The cobbler is kind of annoying. In the movie, Jennifer Beals plays the princess, and the cobbler is played by Matthew Broderick. And there's a pointless narration to Broderick's character that it just feels like the movie was dumbing itself down. Like they didn't have any intent on making this the movie that Richard Williams wanted it to make. But luckily, some people actually went ahead and made versions of this. They wanted to restore the film to its original version, including Roy E. Disney. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences actually archived Williams' 35mm work print and acknowledges the film's rehabilitated reputation due to projects like the Recobbled Cut, which you can find online, which is a very well-done fan edit of what this movie was originally intended to be. Definitely go seek that out if you can. And also there's a documentary called Persistence of Vision that talks about the production of this movie by Kevin Schreck, who also was one of the people that worked on the Mad TV series for Cartoon Network. There's a lot of things to talk about with this movie, but the version that I saw, the DVD, the one that I recently got the DVD for, the one that went to theaters under Miramax Films, it's definitely not a good movie. It's mostly because of the stuff that they added in. The animation can look really great, but man, the voice work, the characters they add in here, it's not the characters are so lackluster. The story is pretty generic. Like, it's really a really bad version of this story. If you're going to watch this movie, go out and seek the Recobbled Cut, seek the documentary on this, find any other version but the one that we got on DVD the first time around. Because, yeah, the animation can look really great on it, but it's not worth it for the stuff that the Completion Bond Company added in, because it is not a well-made film whatsoever where that cuts. But like I said, find the Recobbled Cut, find the Persistence of Vision documentary, and hopefully maybe one day we'll finally get the version that Richard Williams had always intended to make. You never know. Stranger things have happened. But so that's The Thief and the Cobbler. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Nausea.
Nights without sleep. Long nights in which the brain lights up like a big city.
You mean I killed somebody? That concerns you, right?
They didn't say who, just how a stake in the heart.
I killed a fiend who is not dead. He's undead.
I want to change my life. I'll find someone. I'll be happy.
we got David Lynch's name on it, so you know it's going to be something very dark and disturbing. And you have a movie here that's basically kind of a noir film, a vampire noir film, I should say, that treats genre elements in an understated art house style. That's Peter Fonda playing Abraham Van Helsing. And, I mean, that's really all I know about this movie because I haven't seen it. But it looks intriguing. It looks very interesting. It looks something very different. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that John Landis vampire film that came out a few years prior, Innocent Blood. It has that kind of a gothic feel to it. Very underrated movie, by the way. I talked about it previously on a previous episode. If you want to see that, take a look at it on the corner here. But this looks very different. This looks very unique. I might check it out one day. But, yeah, like I said, I haven't really seen it, so I don't know too much about it. But it definitely has my intrigue just on the stuff that I see in the director, the people who made it, the person who's playing Abraham Van Helsing, and the fact that David Lynch is involved with it. This could be pretty interesting. So, with that said, on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Theremin, an Electronic Odyssey. A documentary talking about the life of Leon Theremin and his invention, the aforementioned theremin, a pioneering electronic musical instrument. It follows his life, including being imprisoned in a Soviet gulag, the influence of his instrument, which came to define the sound of eerie and 20th century movies, and influenced popular music as it searched for and celebrated electronic music in the 1960s. It sounds like a very intriguing documentary, honestly. But like I said, I haven't really seen it before. I haven't really known anything about this movie. I didn't even know it even existed before I even looked at this. But this definitely has a lot of interesting aspects to it that could be pretty amazing to watch. So definitely one I will have on my radar. But like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say too much about it. But came out this weekend. But yeah. So Theremin, Electronic Odyssey.